What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to set up your single turbo setup, or how I set up my single turbo setup on my JZ. So a lot of people have been asking me like what to delete on the stock setup when you go from the stock twins to a single turbo setup. For the turbo side of things, it's very simple. Basically get rid of all the stock shit. The oil lines that feed the turbo, the water lines that go to the turbo, I think you could delete as well, and all the vacuum lines that go to the stock turbos you could delete. For the single setup, just bolt up your manifold, get your turbo on. But actually before that, the stock coolant rail, the one that goes around the block, what I did was I hit up Sister's garage, and they actually cut up the old rails, weld an AN bung. That way you could just run the AN bung to the back of the head. The back of my head has a AN fitting that's already pressed onto the head, so I didn't really have to run like a regular coolant hose. But if you still have the stock port back there, you can run like a 90 hose to like a push-on male AN. And from there, you could just make an AN line to that guy. As far as feeding the turbo with oil, the JZ blocks has two feeds, one in the back, one in the front. I blocked off the back using just a bolt with the right thread pitch. I think Drift Motion sells like a fitting that could close that off as well. And for the front, I got my Drift Motion fitting on there to a -4 AN steel braided line. And that goes up and over and feeds the top of the turbo. And then from the drain, the fitting that goes underneath the turbo on there to the oil pan, and that plate you can actually buy from Drift Motion as well. Regardless of the manifold you run, I recommend running like a reclocking plate for the coolant water neck. That way, because if you don't run this plate, the coolant neck goes this way. Depending on the manifold you have, it gets really hot if you run like the long tube manifolds. This one, it's not that big of a deal, but I ran it just for clearance issues, or like just clearance, like easier access to get through shit right here. But yeah, it clocks it down, and then just like get an HPS hose and connect to the bottom of your radiator. Pretty much that's all you need to know for the turbo side of things. Like, that's seriously like the easiest portion of doing a single turbo setup. So now we go to the intake manifold side. So I'm running a 2JZ VVTi, but I have a non-VVTi manifold. The reason being is because I wanted to do drive-by cable instead of drive-by wire. Again, I got this whole manifold setup from Sean Adriano. You don't really need to do anything to the throttle body side of things. Pretty much like if there was any open ports for vacuum, you want to just block it off if you're not using it. I got these little plugs on there and there. This one I had blocked off, but because I have a boost controller, I'm getting my vacuum source for the boost controller from this port in there. The non-VVTIs come with an idle air control valve, but Sean blocked this one off. And I recommend to as well, because it takes up so much space right there. That thing's like a pretty big module. And honestly, if you run a standalone, which you should if you're going single turbo, you should delete that anyways. But yeah, he just made a plate to block that off out of like a 1/4 inch aluminum plate. Usually this port right here goes to the head, but because I'm running a catch can, I deleted that and basically plugged it up with a cap. This port right here, I believe, was the stock map sensor. Since I'm running a standalone, my Max ECU, it comes with a map line, and the map is already built into the ECU, so I just use that same port to run my pressure for my map, going straight to the ECU. And then I think this big old hole was for the old intake air temp, like the stock one. I just blocked it off. I recommend using like a better bolt. I just bought this one because that's all the hardware store had, and then it started to rust. But I'll clean it up one day. What else? I think that's it. Oh, then this line goes to the fuel pressure regulator down there. And yeah, basically that's all you would need. Because I think for single turbo setups, you just need a vacuum source for your boost controller, a blow-off valve if you're running one, fuel pressure regulator, and a map. So my map is already on there, fuel pressure is on there, boost controller is on there, and I'm not running a blow-off valve, so I don't need that. So basically I'm just running 3 lines to my intake manifold. Again, fuel pressure regulator, one for the boost controller down here, this one, my map, and that's it. And the rest of the stuff I just basically plugged up. Oh, and I guess my brake booster vacuum source. And then I believe on the stock 2J where that coolant rail ran around, there was a port, because off that port went to the stock oil filter plate, and that was like a pass-through for coolant to cool the oil filter. Alright, there you go, see? So yeah, that port basically went to the oil filter plate. We pinched it, welded it shut, and that's all you need to do for that side of things. And I think there was one more plug that people forget to plug up. Oh, back here. Behind the TPS, there's a plug back here, or a port for vacuum back there. Make sure when you delete all the vacuum stuff, you plug that one up as well. And then, oh, then there's one back here that you should plug up. I really hope I did cover everything. The setup is pretty damn simple. I mean, until I dyno it to make sure everything was routed correctly, I think pretty confident that it is. But yeah, got my Garrett GTX 3582R. I believe it's still the 1st gen, but it still puts down. I think Ola made like 560 with this whole setup, with the same injectors. They're the Delphi 1000 injectors, and he made 560, so pretty much the same exact setup as his. So hopefully I make that much. That would be nice. Still running the stock coolant temp sensors down there. Oh, then a lot of people don't realize how useful these stock intake manifolds are. I basically made that hole for the fuel pressure regulator a little bigger and just ran a M6 bolt through it to the stock manifold, because there was like a opening right there, and yeah, it fits perfect. Like, it doesn't really, it's not gonna really go anywhere. Pretty sick. Alright guys, again, just a quick rundown of what we covered. Single turbo side, get your manifold on, delete all the vacuum sources back there, because you don't need any of that. Use the front oil feed port on there. Make sure you get a plate from the bottom of the turbo going to the oil pan for your oil drain. Intake manifold side of things, you could delete the idle air control valve if you're running a non-VVTi manifold. The only vacuum sources you need going to the manifold is boost controller, blow-off valve if you're running one, fuel pressure, and the map. So again, make sure you block off all the ports you don't use. I got one back there that I blocked off, 2 right here, 2 right here and 1 in the back. Okay. And then as far as the stock coolant rail going to the stock twin setup, if you want to do it yourself, just chop it up, weld an AM bung on that, or hit up Suspicious Garage. I believe they sell these rails already made. It goes from water pump to AN bung. And from that, you can go to the back of your head. And yeah, I mean, again, it's a very, very simple setup. And it should work because pretty much Ola Jaeger had this whole setup on his car. And I bought it from him, and he made like $560. Yeah. I mean, I hope I covered everything for you guys. I hope this video helps people who are working on the single turbo setup and don't know which vacuum sources to delete and what to use. So I really hope this helps you guys. Yeah, for all these like little oil feed fittings and plates and stuff, I just bought everything off Drip Motion. So you can hit them up, or you could even find this stuff on eBay. A lot of people get scared shopping on eBay, but as long as you find the right like vendor and they have a lot of good ratings or reviews, then you should be fine. The parts, all the parts are the same. Yeah, I hope you guys can use all this information. If I didn't cover something, or if you still have questions about something, please feel free to ask me in the comments. I usually reply to them as soon as I read them. Yeah, I think we should probably start up the car now, huh? Let me plug up the battery. Shell, you're gonna start the car. Hold on. Not yet. I gotta plug in the battery.
Speed has its price.
Bye.
Fortunately, it's super affordable.
Okay. Then is it neutral? Okay, here. Go to computer on.
And I feel fine. No symptoms.
Oh, whoops, I'm at ignition on.
Everybody, listen. All you need is a trip to the bathroom. If you were 50 or
Hold on, and then go computer on.
is the non-invasive option that finds 92%
There it goes.
of colon cancers.
And then you can start it. Try it again. Let me do it. Man, the battery is dying. Oh, it's on. Good job.
You're off now?
Why?
Wanna watch my show?
What the heck? Look at your setup. Man, you're just chilling in here, huh? Lucky. Well, everything works, so I don't see why I shouldn't for you guys. I hope this video was informative. I hope you guys can set up your single turbo JZ soon. But yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comments. I'll try to answer them.